Very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. Let me check my microphone. We're talking here. You don't even know. It's not even recording. But I see it's recording. Great stuff. Thank you very much for coming. I know you come very often and I appreciate you. My name is Zach. This is your first time. You very much appreciated. And you want to know about the motherland, Africa, you're at the right place. You want to know about any country in Africa. This is what you want to know. Thank you. We appreciate you. So, great stuff. We are in Mali here. Okay, we're gonna talk about Mali today. The Confederation of Sahel have decided to come together, meaning anybody, any entity, any country that wants to deal with either of them must talk to the whole of them.
Let me just mention something real quick. First of all, if let's go ahead and rewind. And yep, right there. So this whole entire area right here is West Africa, ECOWAS. And this entire region should already be one country. If you go to East Africa, which is in this area right here, this all should be already one country. This entire actually right now it's expanded, so it's pretty much if you follow the cursor, it's right there. This entire region should be one country. This one down here, if you cut this from here going down, should be one country. The central should be one country. But still, we're talking about this one particular little country right here. All right, let's go.
The Confederation of Sahel have decided to come together, meaning anybody, any entity, any country that wants to deal with either of them must talk to the whole of them. Is that great? Piyama Kofi. Yeah, that's the way you go about it. Now, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger demand collective negotiation from now on, following the coordinated exit from ECOWAS. And I'll give you context, okay? Here is for everybody. You don't have to know any geopolitics to understand. You surely going to understand. So, the president of Mali, this man right here, Assimi Goïta, he met three people. Who are the three people? The foreign ministers of each of these countries, okay? Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger.
Yep, you see the entire region right there? They should be all one country right here. But we're still talking about little pockets of countries right now. And that's a major issue that we've been having since independence, the last 60 years, because they initially had two groups. One group that said, let's unite now and have one African country. And then the other group that said, nah, let's just leave it broken down. It's going to take time. We have to do it in stages. And now here's we still are talking about stages.
They met with the president of Mali. Why? You're asking yourself. Because they wanted to give him a report on the meeting they had with ECOWAS. And you're asking yourself a question, certainly. Why him? Well, because he is the acting president of the Confederation of the Sahel States. The three prime ministers of each country have to give him reports for every meeting they had.
Nous avons eu hier l'occasion d'échanger avec la commission de la CEDEAO, donc en prélude aux négociations qui vont régir le retrait définitif des trois pays de l'AES, de la CEDEAO. Alors, il était question pour nous de venir rendre compte au président de la Confédération, président d'armée Assimi Goïta, et de faire le point des relevés de conclusions auxquels nous sommes parvenus.
What is the confederation? It's Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. And why is Malian presidents the presidents? Because they're alternating. So each year, the president of the next country will be the acting president. And right now, it's the Malian president. Now, what was the meeting about? The three ministers of foreign affairs went to discuss with ECOWAS about the separation. Okay, you've been working together for a while. It's time to part ways. You don't fight over it. You try to be mature. I'm going this way, you're going that way. So goodbye. That was the meeting about. And you're asking yourself, what is ECOWAS? This is ECOWAS. You see these countries here? These are ECOWAS.
So let me not forget to mention that with these three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, what they did was something that was supposed to be had been done, or pretty much, let's look at it this way. What they have done in the last 2 years, they started doing since like the 60s. And right now, continent wide, they're talking about it should be achieved by 2067. Yeah, 2065. So imagine that they did it in 2 years. And this started back in the 60s. And the continent is talking about it'll be achieved in like another 30 years.
Well, there were used to be 15 countries that worked together, sort of be friendly with one another. Open space, you could cross the next country without a visa. Even though in reality, once you went to the border, you still found a policeman asking you for money for visa. Crazy stuff. Fake brotherhood and whatever. So ECOWAS used to be a very strong entity until these three countries left. Okay, the three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, used to be part of ECOWAS, but they decided to leave. Why did they leave? They left because they felt ECOWAS is still controlled by the West, and they wanted to really work for the interest of Africans. So these three countries, so you can understand, decided to topple the president.
These three men are working, and that's why the rest of them don't like them. If you ask me, I would say we need to go to the African Union when they have their meeting, and all of them need to just get slapped in there. Every single one of them. Well, with the exception of like about maybe three of them, three others. I'll say right now there's a total of like maybe seven good leaders in Africa, but aside from that, the rest of them, they all need to just get slapped, and then they all need to get the boot. But these three men, they gave them the boot, and that's why we're here. That's why we're talking about them.
Because they deemed the president were puppets. Therefore, they needed acting presidents who actually care for the people, build hospitals, build roads, build schools, create jobs, make sure that your minerals actually benefiting your people and not foreign people from Europe. And that is why ECOWAS didn't like them, because they toppled the president. ECOWAS would have wished them to go through democratic processes. However, how do you do?
Man, democracy, democracy, democracy. Democracy is a scam. A scam. There was something that I read a few weeks back, and they said that for every institution, the people that benefit, the beneficiaries of the institutions, are the creators of the institution. Meaning that whoever is part of the institution is just part of the working group. They're just part of the fuel for the system or institution, however you look at it. Because all these countries, they're pretty much businesses.
When you live in a country where you cannot be democratic because the elections are rigged, and if you claim they beat you up and throw you in jail, well, there must be a solution. The solution they found was toppling the president, and ECOWAS didn't like that.
And they're usually rigged by outsiders. Not even so much of inside work. It's usually more of external work. Whenever you see that, like for example, we're talking about ECOWAS. If in that region, whenever there's elections, France usually is the first to set up their observers and everything. They print their voting ballots. They do everything. Literally control the entire system during the democratic process of elections, which is a huge scam. And there's others too. There's Germany, there's the US, there's all this, there's different parties that are always involved.
And now, when did they separate? They separated when ECOWAS decided to attack one of them, this country, Niger. You see ECOWAS, you see them again, all these countries? They wanted to attack Niger. Why? Because the Nigerian people toppled their president. And the ECOWAS leaders were very good friends with the Nigerian president, Mohamed Bazoum. So they said, we want Mohamed Bazoum reinstated by force. Imagine you have a country, you topple your president, and the neighboring countries say they're going to come into your country and topple you. I mean, just think about it. Why? Because they say they love you people, but they're ready to kill many other people so they can reinstate one person. That's when they say, you know what? I think
Not only that, when they have all these terrorists, they're nowhere to be found. When they need all this aid and assistance and all this thing, when they need things, they're nowhere to be found. But for the one puppet that gets the boot, now all of a sudden they're ready to come in there and go to war.
this is not brotherhood. We are out of ECOWAS. We don't want to be part of this anymore. Now, they're finding themselves in a situation where they have to negotiate. ECOWAS begged them to come back. They say, no, we're not interested. We're going to be AES. That's us, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. We're going to have a leader per year. The next year, the leader of the next country will be the president. Now, they had to sit down to have a discussion with ECOWAS on how are they going to move forward. What's the way forward? You must have a discussion like adults. At the end of the day, you must continue living next to one another. The delegation included Malian Minister Abdoulaye Diop, his Burkinabe counterpart Jean-Marie Karakome Traore, and the Nigerian Minister Bakari Saou Sangare. The three ministers briefed the President of the Confederation of the conclusion for their first meeting with ECOWAS. The three ministers insisted on one fundamental point: discussions will continue exclusively in collective and coordinated manner. Meaning there's no more discussion with Mali alone. It's over. No discussion with Niger alone. It's over. No discussion with Burkina Faso. If you want to talk about Mali's goal, you need to have Burkina Faso, Niger, and the other brother coming together. If you want to talk about Niger's petrol, you need to sit everybody together so they can decide. If you want to have any sort of contract, they all have to sit together. Is this brotherhood or not?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And when we talk about brotherhood, if you just look at small local gangs, a bunch of idiots that come together to do something, pretty much just bother people in the community. They're only effective because there's a lot of them, a lot of gang members. The bigger the gang, the bigger, the more effective it is. If it's a small gang and nobody listens to them, it's like me walking out my house and going outside and starting to terrorize everybody. Very very quickly, the community can stop me. But if it's a gang of us, then we're going to be a bit more effective. Now, when you're talking about countries, if you're one country, you're very weak. But if you are a union of multiple countries, then you have a bit more power. And that's why they say speak with one voice. Because if you are like 10 people saying the same thing, then you're more likely to be heard than one person saying the same thing. They might be heard, but they can easily be ignored. But the larger the group, the harder it is for them to be ignored.
Pigama coffee. Yeah. That's what we're talking about. So now the message is clear. ECOWAS and Africa. From now on, you want to talk to either of us. All the three foreign ministers must be in the room so they can have a discussion. Are they getting stronger or not? Let me know how you feel about that.
Yep, I'll say they're getting stronger.